Hey, in stories of things we didn't know we needed, but we have to have. Did you know that we're going to have to start paying for Alexa, or our Echoes are going to be a paid service? So my question to the guys here, hey, do you have Echo? And second, would you pay $5 to $10 a month? They don't really know yet. They're just putting some feelers out there. It's 5, it's 10, could be 20. We don't know. So would you pay for Echo and AI?
No. Here's my problem with this whole thing. Like, I'm guessing they're obviously making us pay, right? Because they're putting AI into it. And we know we've talked about this a million times on this podcast. There is a cost associated with generative AI. It does not come free. Every single query has to go through a compute time, which costs money. Therefore, if they're going to put it in there, which they should, I definitely think they should, because it's so far behind. They have to shove it in there. They also then have to charge for it. Do I want to pay for it? No. Will I pay for it? No, because I'm going to choose another AI assistant, right? That's not going to be Echo. I'm just not going to do it, because here's the other problem too, and this is going to be the hardest sell. This is probably the hardest thing they've ever tried to sell, because they've given it away for a decade. This has been a decade-free product that they're now going to be like, oh yeah, now we're going to have to charge for it. It's such a difficult thing to go from free to paid. It's just ridiculously difficult to do that. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it.
I've read a couple articles about, like, this is obviously going to be an automated AI assistant, and they're talking about the AI assistant part of it. And people think, oh, an AI assistant. The reason I say it twice is because they think the AI is going to generate these assistants on demand, or it's like a magic box, and whatever you ask, it can connect to anything, kind of like Skynet. And I've read some technical blogs on this, and basically Amazon is having to write all the connectors. It's not AI in the traditional sense that they're actually having to make all this connectivity. And they said the number one problem, and I'll ask you, Paul, you're in charge, you do product education and things like that, was discoverability of features that no one knew even what the current Echo is. And now you're going to pay for a device that you still doesn't know what all can it do. It's like, and I'm sure you can discover lots of things, but you have no idea. There's no screen, there's no help button, there's no fantastic DevRel guy that runs a YouTube channel, things I can do with my Echo after 30 or anything like that.
That's a good idea. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to try that. So good market right there.
Yeah.
To fail on. On this is kind of taking a step back and being like, why are all the companies starting to charge for all this AI services? Maybe because they might have went over on investing in AI and not seeing any profit, and they're like, we invested in the infrastructure, we got all this stuff, and now we got to recoup some of this money, so let's shove this into every possible service available. And I'm kind of curious, like, does this mean that, like, if you do this as a service, that when they make this change, you no longer have access to it?
I think there'll be a free one, and then the other one, the new one's called Remarkable. It's called Remarkable AI, which is also the name of a tablet. But, the other thing that's kind of odd, and I read more into this, and it's not as odd once I read into it. Me and Kevin were talking earlier this morning about it. They're using Claude for the AI. They have an in-house AI called Titan, and they're using Claude for this because Claude was faster. And I'm like, man, they're not even using their own tech. But then I realized, they've actually put $4 billion in Anthropic. Wow. And so, they've invested enough into Anthropic, like Microsoft's invested into OpenAI. So they're following the same game that Microsoft's doing. They've bought a third party. Oddly enough, Google has invested $2 billion in Anthropic as well. So that's where Anthropic gets their money from, and that's why they have Claude AI out there. And of course, Claude AI runs on AWS, so I'm sure they're getting free AWS like OpenAI gets next to free Azure. But eventually, isn't this game at some point, do they say, we got to start paying for this somehow, or we can't use this? Where does this go from here?
Well, yeah, but that's what they're trying to do here, right? By having this subscription attached to it. But how many of those free customers are they going to convert to include this paid thing? I just don't think it's many.
Right. Now, there's the other move that I also read about Echo, the ecosystem, the current one, that was kind of interesting. Like, I read a story where Amazon doesn't even know how many active users they have on Echoes, because you can take Echoes off the network. so it doesn't listen all the time. So people are really concerned about it listening all the time, and we'll get to that in a second. And so they didn't even know how many active users they really have on a daily basis, which is weird for an Amazon as big as they are. And they were unsure how many of these are out there. So they sold.
I'm not convinced that's true.
I was going to say, I'm not buying it at all because
I'm not buying that. Yeah.
Echo device. I've learned the first thing is that even when it's not plugged into the network, it uses Bluetooth Wi-Fi to communicate with the net of other devices like my neighbor's Echo, and it knows and listens to everything. So as long as you have that, no, it's not even native.
It's a mesh. It's a mesh network.
It is a mesh. No, it is a mesh. It's designed to be that way. It's
exactly what it is.
It's like the iPhones have that. The iPhones have that same technology to communicate with each other in the background.
It's like I didn't put old hat. This is actually like what it is. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of hilarious that people think they get privacy with the Echo devices, but it's like, no, you don't.
So what would it have to do to get your $10 a month? What is the killer feature? Like, what is it that it?
There isn't one.
Yeah, I mean, because you can turn your lights on and off with voice, which you can do that already now with a Hue integration or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Do you think they'll start saying, "Oh, the Hue integration is only on the paid network"?
No. I think that'll be continued in the free part. I think it'll do whatever it does now. Continue to do that because, like I said, going from free to paid, if that's like, it's going to be a hard sell for people. I think the advantage that they have is they've sold a lot of devices, right? Because they're cheap and they've historically been cheap, so they're already there.
Yeah,
the hardware people already have, so it's like they have a large potential customer base already because they don't have to buy new hardware to use this thing. But it's no different than just what ChatGPT can do right now on your phone. It's not. It's generative AI. It's not going to be able to do anything any different until they write all these hooks into these other things. Who knows when that's going to be? Because none of the ones can do like ChatGPT. They have these things, right? Where what did they do? Didn't they do like a VRBO or an Airbnb one or something? Or they had these little side apps that you can like hook into it. Well, Amazon needs to do that. They have to differentiate themselves that way. Because just to have generative AI in here for $10 a month, I'm not interested.
I think like the basic expectation that all these companies with AI are trying to set is basically we have AI in our thing, and that means a subscription for you. So basically, there is going to be no free services, and they're just trying to set the precedents, being like, hey, you want anything AI related, even if it sucks, like it's whatever how much it's going to cost, $10 a month. So. Because I feel like all these companies, they haven't really recuperated or made any money off the initial AI investment. So now what's happening, like in every company, like on the stock market, they're like killing it. You look at NVIDIA, but at a certain point, if you realize that you invested all this money, but there's no return coming in, that's going to start to affect these companies. And so they kind of have to start to now create the strategy. We've invested this much money. How can we? And that's why you hear talks like, oh, it's going to replace developers. It's going to do this. It's going to do this because they're trying to reach for things like to be like, how can we justify the money we spent on the return that we're still waiting on? Because none of these companies are, actually profitable yet, like at least
in the AI space for sure.
Yeah, in the AI space. It's just like too much. But although I think I could see them making a lot of money, especially you said that they're going to call this next service Remarkable. So if they change their free service to Unremarkable, I would actually consider, because I don't want to be unremarkable. And so for extra $10 to make myself feel better.
True, it like puts
like
you down.
Yeah. If
that's a blue check.
Yeah, I want a blue check.
No, it's the opposite of a blue check. It's like it's insulting you if you don't pay. Is what it's doing.
That is a good start. I'm going to start doing that. I'm like, all right, I'm going to only make insulting videos on my YouTube channel. And if you want to find like,
this is like one of those things when you don't want somebody to buy something, you call it like, oh, you want the copper package?
Exactly.
We have the platinum package over here. This is amazing. You sure you want the copper?
Yeah, we have this rusty copper dirt written package.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right below
sounds like something from Fallout. The rusty.
It is. Yeah, you just insult the low tier package, and that hypes up the other one.
That's so funny.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think the integrations, because the integrations say they want to simplify our life, and they always show me one that I would never do, which is like order airline tickets, which is not like, I don't do that all the time. And it's like the CEO demos the thing that he wants, which is all these CEOs do it. Like, yeah, I'm on like 42 flights a month. So I need an assistant that does this, even though they have enough money to pay actual people to do it. they feel like everyone else has that same problem. And I haven't seen a problem yet that AI solves that like, wow, okay, that's kind of cool. And as I'm thinking about it, do you think there's an integration into another app? Like they say we're going to like code with these things. Do you think they could like, hey, Echo, write me an app, connect over to my PC, put it inside of Visual Studio, write me a landing page for my new product idea. And it shows up over there. Is that, to me, that's the only thing that it could do. It's got to be more Jarvis-like than just ordering me my medicine for the month or something like that, or send me an alarm to wake me up at 6 a.m. or.
But that stuff it can do already.
I know. I'm wondering if we're going to start paying for that. That's what I'm wondering, if that's what they're going to do.
I hope not, because that's just going to.
Premium.
What's going to happen is all that's going to happen then, if that is the case, is going to create a whole bunch of e-waste, because there's a lot of people that will be getting rid of their dot devices.
But what do you get then if it's already going to do the integrations that you have for free? There's got to be some new ones on the $10 a month plan that you can't get.
I guarantee you, it's just the generative AI part. It's the
that
part
you can ask it a question and it'll talk back to you.
Yeah, because that's what it doesn't do now. It doesn't do any of that stuff now. It's terrible at answering questions. It's always needed to be better at that kind of stuff. It'll just tell you it either can't or doesn't know or whatever it is, or it'll answer it terribly. It's just going to answer those questions better. That's it. I guarantee you that's going to be it.
So it's going to say, tell me a fact about the Roman Empire. You know,
yeah. And right now it's going to be like, oh, I can't do that. And then in the future with the $10 version, it's going to be like, sure. And it'll make up something.
You're only going to get unremarkable answers from me right now. But for extra $10 a month, I'm going to tell you a bunch of remarkable things.
Paul.
Yeah, exactly.
I can make you remarkable, Paul.
Exactly.
Who's the voice for Echo? Is it really the guy from Breaking Bad? I heard that. I don't use Echo, so you guys tell me. Is it?
I don't know what the voices are. I have some generic whatever it came with voice.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I got.
Someone told me it was Gino Espirito. What is that guy's name? The villain.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it just sounds like him. I don't know. There's a male version maybe that sounds like him. I don't know. Mine's just a generic female voice.
Yep, so
would you pay the $10 a month to get Scarlett Johansson's voice in it?
I don't know.
Okay.
First of all,
so I'm trying to find a feature that you can sell.
Working hard. No, there's nothing. So here's what I'm thinking. Like you look at,
I'm working hard, Amazon. I'm trying.
No, but people are already tired of like this, like overwhelming, subscription model, because you have like, I want to watch this show. Oh, do I have this service available? I want to do this, and so now everything that you interact with is offering some sort of subscription service. So it's like you at some point you have to pay. So. Like for me, like I use a bunch of AI products and I literally just pay for 2 different subscriptions, and then that's it. And that's my limit. And if I want to get another one, like I got to cancel the other one. Otherwise it's like you're going to have 10, 20 different apps that you're using and they all require their own different subscription. And then you can't buy a house. Like what's happening,
You're only going to need one AI assistant, right? It's either going to be, ultimately you're going to get one. It's either going to be
never going to happen.
Alexa, or it's going to be Siri, or whatever it's going to be. Now, for me, because I'm in the Apple ecosystem, it's probably going to be Siri. Now, whether that ends up being free or not, I'm still hedging my bets that it's not going to be free. They haven't said Apple Intelligence is going to be free, and they haven't said it's going to be paid. But I'm guessing, based on the fact that Amazon feels the need to have a paid Alexa, that Siri's going to be the same. There's going to be this free tier, and there's going to be this advanced tier. And it's probably going to be $10, $20 a month or whatever, or maybe part of the Apple subscription. But I think it's coming, and I'm not going to have both. I just don't need to have both, and I'm not going to pay for both.